Welcome to Around the Farm. I'm Steve Gregerson here with site manager Andy Height, and we're going to take you around the farm this morning and kind of bring you up to date on what's happening here as we enter the fall season.
Yeah, fall has fell.
It is.
Winter's going to be here, and it'll be colder than it was this time last year.
Probably, from what the weatherman says, anyway.
And we're back from summer hiatus.
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
They didn't get any summer reruns this way.
That's probably a good thing because those get boring. So.
We're glad to be back. We got a lot to talk. We do have some things to talk about. Like you said, catch up with where we were. We had a good summer. June, July, the weather was great. Then it turned hot.
Ooh, big time, big time.
We still had lots of visitors. We just finished last Friday. We just finished our last school group for the year. And just let people know how many visitors we get here from the school kids. Just for fun, I sat down and did some math this morning.
Ooh, math? Ooh.
I know. I know. Well, I used my calculator.
Oh, that makes it simpler then.
That helped a lot. We had for this year for April and May, and June, April and May, October and September. I did that backwards, didn't I? Mm-hmm. We had 5,743 school visitors this year.
Whoa, that's a bunch of kids.
That's a lot of kids, and to put that in perspective, out of the 50-some sites spread out across Ohio within the Ohio History Connection system, that's more school kids than anybody else sees in the state of Ohio.
Wow. Whoa. I know there's lots of little faces that come through those front doors there.
And
wow.
they're a lot of fun. And to think about, to think about where we draw students from. The furthest north is up on the very northern edge of Hardin County. Now, I didn't realize how far that is.
I didn't either.
Until I had last spring, I did a program up in Kenton. And, that's about the middle of Hardin County.
Right.
Well, I went past where one of the schools that come down were, and they are the very edge of the county.
Wow, that's a pretty good haul.
That's a long bus ride for those kids. And then we bring a couple schools come in from eastern Indiana. So they've crossed the border and come in. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad that we're both on the same time zone now.
That makes it a little simpler.
And we could never get it figured out. Now, are we coming on our time or your time? What time is it? But at least now we're all in the same time zone.
That helps.
Think about that. Up above Lima, a lot of schools from Allen County are coming down now. Hardin County, Allen County, eastern Indiana, Urbana and further east, pushing toward Columbus, and down we've had schools clear down from Adams County. And if people look at that map, that's a huge area that we're bringing students from, and a lot of that I think is a testament to what you guys do every day when you interact with kids. The teachers, almost every one of them, are always saying, well, this is just exactly what we're covering in our classroom. This is a great preview for the things that we're going to do. Several of the teachers said, when we get there now in class, they can say, well, do you remember when? And they've said how much that helps reinforce what they're going to do.
And it makes it nice too, because you can really tell the kids who the teachers have spent some time looking over what we're going to do and getting the kids prompted, and it just makes it so much better for us and the kids both that we really are able to make sense out of things and really hopefully leave some things that with them that are going to stick around and build on with the teachers. So
well, and you can tell too. And you've been with us now long enough, you can tell which of the teachers have been here several times.
Right.
Because the more times the teachers are here, the better prepared the kids are. Because I understand the first time a teacher comes, they can look at the material we send them, but until they actually understand, what all we hit,
right.
Preparation takes a while. But, you're right. The schools that have been coming for a lot of years, those kids come in very well prepared, and it does make a better day for everybody all the way around.
It really does. I mean, you just, the kids, you can see the kids kind of, oh yeah, that all makes sense to them now, and it makes it fun. Of course, some of the teachers just about gave away my Bob spiel to them, so I had to caution them about that. So,
well, but, you'll have that.
Yeah, but the kids get a kick out of it. So,
one of the things that when I get the opportunity to interact with the students, I always tell them to begin with is that they're some of the luckiest students in Ohio when they're doing Ohio history, because they're actually the place where things happened. Everything that we talk about, all the people we talk about, the events, all happened right here. I said, now how many places, how many times do you get to do that?
Exactly.
Even for example, and not to take away from what they do, but even like at the Armstrong Air and Space Museum, it didn't happen there.
Right.
But the things we talk about, this is the ground where it happened. And I think that helps to be able to visualize that and understand that.
Yeah, but you see some of the kids, they really, they do catch on to, wow, John Johnson actually walked around on these grounds, and the canal boat went up and down the canal here,
yeah.
and you can see that, and that starts registering. That's a neat feeling that they catch on to that too. So
and they start thinking about Johnston and his contributions. One of the funny things, if I'm again interacting with the kids, a lot of times I ask who was responsible for the name Indian, and well, if they've been to the farmhouse before they come to us, the kids always say John Johnston. No. But they're making that connection. They're understanding his role with the native population. So, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about, I try to lead the kids into what the farm was all about, what it was producing, so it makes sense that, you had to have a way to get it out to sell it. And the groups that come to us first, you say flax, they go, but the groups coming from the house go, oh yeah, they told us about that,
Yeah.
So it's some pretty neat connections we're making, and hopefully when they get to the house and hear about how flax was used and what it did, and make a connection down here that makes sense for them too.
Yeah.
So that's really a neat thing. So. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun, and it's amazing. We see, we're aimed primarily at fourth grade, but we see the younger kids, we see some older kids, and it's amazing how even the younger kids grasp what we're talking about.
It is. Yeah, I think fourth grade's the optimum level, because they're old enough to understand things. They've been through some things that that they have some background, but the younger kids do light up too. You can see that they understand what we're talking about.
Now this fall, you weren't here, but when we did our fall event in October, in the morning we had a group from UD were here, and having the older students, that was interesting. To be able to relate some of those, some of the more complex issues, because they were looking more at the economic side of things. What was gained from trade and those sorts of things. So that was interesting as well. So it is the whole grasp of students is really a lot of fun. So the variety is a lot of fun to watch. So that's you get that big that broad spectrum. Sometimes it makes it interesting.
That's true.
But one of the things, and years ago, I had to remind one of our former staff members that when you get an older group, just because they're a bigger body or an older person, you don't assume that they've got a broader base of knowledge. I always tell people, start with the fourth grade story and let their questions, whether you're telling them too much or too little, then you start to judge where they are. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it, is you kind of got to figure out what they do or don't know, and I know I have to do that as I kind of evaluate the kids coming through, that, just how far do I want to go? How far do I start? And
It's not so much, I don't think, in the museum, I don't think as much of an issue as it is at the farmhouse, because
Yeah.
you get up there, especially with adult groups, you'll get, and I've done this, you get some adult groups that they're interested in the furniture, or they're interested in the house itself,
Yeah.
and not so much about Johnston perhaps, or they're interested in the military stuff that happened. So it's, the ladies up there they've got quite a challenge to meet, to hit there. Here it's
pretty straightforward.
yeah, it's pretty obvious, but here it depends on how much depth do you go into.
Right.
I had somebody here the other day that an adult. We got started into a whole discussion on Pickawillany about the native movement in and out. Pickawillany not being a Miami term, but it's Shawnee. So what's the relationship there? And so you don't get to do that with the younger kids.
Right. Yeah, and kind of sometimes when they're adults on the boat down there, they'll start asking. Of course, you're going right down past the State Dam Bridge and up that road, and there it is. And then, you got to be careful that you don't get too caught up with them, because you still got little guys on the boat that they want to know
It's a challenge.
if there are
it's a good challenge.
any fish in the canal and things like that. So
Oh well, and I think I said this before, but when I first came here, which is hard to imagine, it's been 20 years.
wow.
But I was on the boat, and I was really upset one day that the kids were looking at the fish and turtles and frogs and the snakes and all that sort of stuff. And then it hit me, dummy, these are urban kids.
Yeah.
They'd never seen turtles in their habit. They'd never seen all. So, okay, that's why they're so interested in it. They've never seen it. Of course, you always get the kids that want to count how many turtles there are.
Right. Right.
On the logs and all that sort of stuff. But I've realized that that's as important as this classroom stuff we give them, maybe.
Of course, I always, when they start on the turtles and the logs, I always do a quick science lesson. Why are they out there? And they're cold-blooded and they're soaking up the sunshine. And, it's kind of you think, well, it's still a teachable moment. Let's do it. So that kind of makes it fun. And then they start counting them and you think,
they don't care about being cold-blooded.
I lost that one. But, it's fun. A lot of good times out there.
So, we finished that. We're on to our next, and our events this summer went well. Our July event, our Living History event, was very well attended this year. We had good crowds both days, good group of encampment people. We're starting to look toward next year already. And
Good.
seem to have some commitments of groups that want to come back and some groups that want to become a part of it. So I think people liked that, the way we had camp set up. They could walk right down between them, and we had good people that wanted to talk to the visitors.
Neat.
And
that makes a big difference too, that if you have people that are willing to talk and relate and explain things and they become a part of that whole process that we're trying to do, what our mission is out here, and that's important.
Well, and I think, we seem to hit that weekend after 4th of July seems to be a good weekend for that community of people. That seems to be sort of a quiet time. So, we're starting to look ahead to next year for that. We will, I know we'll probably commence talking about looking ahead to next year.
Mm-hmm.
In April next year, and I don't remember the date, I think it's the 27th. So the last Thursday in April. We're really happy. Last year we had Mark Twain here.
Oh, yes.
And this year we're really looking forward to, got a gentleman coming that is going to bring Teddy Roosevelt to Piqua.
Good deal.
And what's really, really neat about that was Teddy Roosevelt himself was here. Teddy Roosevelt spoke from the balcony of the hotel. We've got pictures showing Teddy Roosevelt in Piqua. And so he's coming back, and I think people will enjoy that. We'll be back up at in the ballroom again.
Good.
We're going to do it a little bit differently this year, and we'll be getting more information out, but I know it's the last Thursday in April. He's coming, and we're looking forward to that. He's also the next day on the Friday morning, he's also going to do a program for the high school. So
Great.
the high school kids will get to see it. We're looking forward to that. And so I think that's something I think people are going to be able to identify. Everybody knows who Teddy Roosevelt is. Well, most everybody.
Yeah, most.
Joe even knows who Teddy Roosevelt is. So
He didn't vote for him, did he? Or
I don't know. Yeah, he said yes, he did.
He did. Okay,
Okay.
that's what I thought. Maybe that he probably had some connection there that.
A longevity issue.
No, I'm going to get it. I can tell that right now.
So, we're looking forward to that because as we bring these figures to town, obviously that's a fundraiser for the farm, but we
Right.
want to bring people in that, have some sort of a tie, if not to the site, to Piqua or to history, people that they know,
Right.
And so it's fun to have the connections with that community because these people really are they really are scholars. That they become that person. They do so much research, and we'll be sharing some more information as we go on about that. But we want to make sure people realize or start to maybe mark their calendars.
Yeah.
That last Thursday, it'll be at 7:30 up on the 4th floor. And you can't get a better venue than that.
Oh, that place is so nice. Wow, it's.
Every scholar that has come that's done a program there, they just kind of walk in and look around and say, "Oh my."
That's something this community's got to be so proud of. I mean, preserving that and keeping it alive, and then, like you say, having programs there and stuff. It's just a great place for it.
And having the individual that was there.
Exactly.
You talk about the kids are able to be where stuff took place. To grasp the fact that Teddy Roosevelt was in Piqua. Teddy Roosevelt spoke to people in Piqua, so it should be.
Yeah, I remember at the library they had pictures.
Oh, you remember that?
Uh-huh. When Teddy was
you
here.
were standing beside Joe.
I was right beside Joe in the crowd.
Okay.
They didn't take pictures out front. They could have caught us then, and unfortunately they didn't. So, but the pictures at the library of him standing there on the balcony, veranda, whatever you call it, but that really kind of makes you stop and think, and it's just going to be good. As Tommy Smothers would say, it's good for your edification.
Ooh.
So, I don't know if I know the meaning of it, but Tommy said it in
I'm
those kind of.
impressed for two reasons. That you remember Tom, you remember the Smothers brothers,
Oh yeah, they were my heroes. So.
and you've used a big people word this morning.
I did. That was a 50 center, maybe 60. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of syllables in that one.
Amen. Amen.
Well, so that's coming up. Of course, our next event, we're not done with this year's event yet because we still have our Christmas event on Saturday, the 3rd of December. This year's going to be an Irish theme again, and the principal person that's going to be there is Elizabeth Johnson, John's mother.
Okay.
She'll be there to share her experiences of life on the farm, and of course, as you travel through the different rooms of the house, traditions and things like that will be talked about. Starts with a dinner, and
Always good stuff.
and I tell people as we're making reservations, if you walk away hungry, you have nobody to blame but yourself.
That's
because
for
we always
sure.
have plenty of food.
That's for
And
sure.
it's a traditional menu from the Johnston period, very much like what they probably could have very well had here. So, that's coming up. We do seatings at 1, 4, and 7. I will tell people if you're interested in being here, the 7 o'clock is sold out. 4 o'clock is almost sold out. I think we maybe have 2 spots left. We do have spots at 1 o'clock. So if anybody is interested, you're here for about 2.5 hours. 1 o'clock is kind of nice because you can come in and have a nice holiday, lunch, have some entertainment, maybe even learn something.
That's always a
You
possibility
might.
here.
You might.
Always.
So if you're interested, I know it's, the first part of November, you're really not thinking about Christmas yet, but it's coming. Give us a call at 773-2522, and we would be happy to take your reservations for our Christmas on the Farm, and that will be our last event for the year. And then we get ready. We've got a lot to do to get ready for next summer. We've been tasked by the Shawnee, the Eastern Shawnee, of developing an exhibit of the Johnston Farm exhibit to take to their headquarters out
Neat.
west. So
Cool.
we're working on that. We're going to we got the basis of that exhibit started. John Johnston's cousin, George Johnston, who was a trader in his own right and interacted with the Shawnee primarily, became acquainted with Chief Blue Jacket's son, George Blue Jacket, who actually lived here with the Johnston family.
I didn't realize that.
And he wrote a diary, a sort of a history, a broad history of the Shawnee Nation. And we're going to use that as the background of our exhibit, because there you've got a primary source document. You've got,
Right.
Blue Jacket's son is writing, the story. And so we're going to use that as the background, and then pull in Johnston's involvement, and pull in the things that tie to this site. And I think we've discussed this with their tribal leadership, and they said that's just what they were looking for. So that's going to be fun. So we're taking an exhibit elsewhere. We're in conversation with some native groups to come back. We've had the Miami tribe, we've had the Eastern Shawnee. We're working on trying to bring another Ohio tribe to tell their story from removal to the present for next summer. We'll keep people posted on that one. So
Good.
we've got lots to do this winter. But I would, if people are interested in the Christmas event, that kind of went back around there, didn't I? That sells out quick.
Yes.
And if they're interested, they need to give us a call in a hurry.
Good event. Good event.
So, our board is busy. We've been doing a lot of work, a lot of planning. Might mention, we've added two members to the Johnston Farm Friends Board, which, talking about the Friends, we'll be looking at our membership campaign. We'll gear up shortly after the first of the year, so we always invite people to become. In fact, I just got a brand new Friends member yesterday in the mail.
Oh, yeah?
So, they're always welcome. We're glad to have people, but we got 2 new board members this year, and we're real pleased with that. We've got a good board, and we've added, a lot of people know Mike Barhorse, that used to be involved, was up at Lehman High School.
Right.
Mike is, like the rest of us, kind of a retreaded history teacher. Real interested in the site, real interested in promoting the site and helping to maintain our longevity. So he brings a different perspective to the board. And we also added Gary Anderson this year.
Interesting.
And
Interesting. That's
some
neat.
of you, a lot of people know Gary from Apple Tree Gallery,
Right.
but they may not know that Gary's family were the last people to live on the farm before it was become a state memorial. And so, Gary's real interested in that side of the
Sure.
of our site. So
I would think he would have a lot to offer about life on the farm as he knew it as a
Yes.
as a young person, and that could be real interesting too.
That was a great addition to the board, and we're looking at doing some work in the farmhouse, and so he's going to be able to add a perspective that nobody else.
Yeah. Gosh.
There's nobody else in Piqua that can really add that perspective now.
It's certainly, like you say, a whole different look at things and a view of things that, having lived there in the building and everything, that's got to be kind of an interesting position to be in, to say the least.
I've had a couple Gary and I have taken some time to walk through the house because we're trying to establish, and we're going to, one of the programs we'll do this winter, we haven't done, I don't know that we've ever done, are what were the steps in restoring the farmhouse to the way it is today.
Right.
And Gary's been helpful on, well, you know, this is the way the house was set up, this was what was here, and some things like that. And that's going to be in fact, we may have him here the day that we do that.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be good planning, wouldn't it?
That would be. It would be. I think that'd be really interesting to hear, you know, what he saw as a kid growing up there, and what he sees today, and how the house has changed, and you know, things like that. I mean, it would be nice to know what John Johnson thought, but that's not.
Well, we can't, you know.
Not real.
That's not
likely. So.
No, and we're not going to do a seance.
No thanks.
So we won't do that. Other thing that we started this year, and I think it's important that we mention, we started we reached out to the Piqua community and to establish a sponsorship program, which has allowed us to do a lot of things that maybe we weren't able to do in the past. It ties, I think, the community much more closely to the site, because that's one of the things that our board really wants to create, is that, you know, we are a part of the Piqua community. We have some, you know, we're developing some deeper ties into the community. And as we started to approach people about sponsorships, we got a very positive response this year.
That's great.
And I want to recognize those people. We've done that a lot this year, but I want to, you know, at this point, we want to recognize the folks that stepped up this year, and to make sure that I don't leave anybody out, I brought a list.
That always helps.
Yes, it is.
That always helps.
It's even printed so that you and I can both read it.
Ooh, all right.
But it was gratifying to the board to see that, you know, these people stepped up and said, yes, we want to support you. And so, you know, we just want to say thank you to these people, because they really did help us. You know, we were able to do some things this year that maybe we couldn't have done in the past, and hopefully that we'll be able to continue this as we go into the future. But I want to go over that list, and I think people will be maybe surprised at the breadth of the sponsorship. But and we're doing this in alphabetical order, because that's kind of the way my mind works.
Probably as easy as any for me, that's for sure.
Well, and it's not in, how do I want to say this? It's not in order of importance or anything, because everybody's important. They're
Exactly.
all equally important, but you've got to start someplace. So being anal retentive, I started alphabetically. Pretty much. There's a couple in here that maybe are out of alphabetical order, but we'll do what we can. Joe said, well, you know, so much for order, right?
That's true.
But these are all people that have stepped up and have become sponsors of the site this year. Greg and Alyssa Blankenship, Buckeye Ford from Sydney, the Holiday Inn Express in Troy. Those are all Buckeye Insurance, and everybody knows where Buckeye Insurance is. They're on the freeway. Crayex Corporation, Dan and Margaret French, Paul and Rosemary Gutman, A.M. Leonard, McCulloch Baker Insurance, McCulloch Felger Fite Gutman Attorneys, Miami Valley Center Mall, and the mall. If people go out, they see, you know, we've had window out there this summer, and we appreciate that. That was kind of above and beyond even the sponsorship. The Midwest Maintenance was a sponsor. Craig and Nancy Mullenbrock, Thomas and Sandra Shoemaker, they're from Sydney, and Unity National Bank and WPTW. Those folks have all, you know, been a part of our sponsorship program this summer, and again allowed us to do some things, and we certainly appreciate the confidence they've expressed in, and it also put some pressure on us to, you know, they've expressed confidence in us, and we've got to continue to earn that earn that confidence, earn that trust. So it makes us, I think, work a little bit harder.
And that's, I mean, I guess that's always the hard part about any kind of an operation like this. It just takes funding to keep it going, keep it operating day to day, and it's certainly gratifying to see people step up and say, "Hey, we want this to continue to go, and we want to be a part of it." And that's certainly a good feeling for the site and for the community both. So,
And the other, as we do the membership campaign, many of the members will send in their membership and an additional gift. And gosh, I'm starting to sound like public radio. but every gift is important.
Right.
Every membership is important because it does help us. And I'm not going to belabor this, but about half of our budget is generated here through memberships, through admissions, through sales, all sorts of things, through a program like Teddy Roosevelt coming to town. Lots of things like that happen. So it's all important, and we appreciate everybody, every member, every gift, the sponsors. It says a lot about this Piqua community, I think.
it sure does. It certainly does.
I think sometimes, now I'm, not being from here, but I think sometimes Piqua sells itself short.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize what we have and the people that we have here. This is a great community, and Joe saying, and humble too.
Very, very.
But it is made up of people like that, and we appreciate the involvement the folks have out here. So
It does make a difference, obviously. So that's really neat that people are stepping up and
So
continue to
looking
go.
ahead, we've got our Christmas event coming in December. We've got, of course, school groups start the second week in April. Now, I know that looks like a long ways away, but boy, I'll tell you what,
It slips around real quick,
it comes around. And before that, we have History Day.
right?
That's
Right.
coming up in March. So there's a lot of things going on. We don't just sit here and think about it. And we think about it in wintertime, but we have a lot we have to do to get ready for the next season. So and hopefully people see some changes or some additions as we go through this year. So we'll be looking toward next year. I've got some ideas for some programs coming up, so we don't go on hiatus again. And we'll just look forward to another year. We'll be back in December and talk about some more things, and hopefully we'll have some more information to share with people. So
Sounds good. Guess it's from the old clock on the wall. It looks like it's time to bring things to a close here.
who used to say that?
I don't remember. I don't.
Now, how did they used to close the Reds games? They had a saying they used to use on there,
Joe Nuxall used to say he was rounding third and heading for home.
and something about then they put the coffee pot on.
I'm not sure. But one thing we can't forget though, the world famous videographer, director, producer, chief grip,
Nice guy.
all around nice guy, Mr. Joe Teach.
And of course, as we always say, humble as a day is long.
That's certainly one of his
Well,
most.
and we joke about this, but it's easy for us to sit here and yammer away for a half hour, 45 minutes. But Joe has to sit there month in and month out and listen to us
Exactly.
and film us and make us do whatever he can. And we appreciate his creative bent.
Very much so. Very much so.
So it's a group effort, and we appreciate everything that Joe does as well.
We certainly do.
We hassle him, but we couldn't. do
No,
it
not
without
us.
him.
That's true. We couldn't do it without him. Wouldn't be any fun, that's for
No,
sure.
and who would we have?
Well, I guess at this point, it's time to say we'll see you next month around the farm.